true, right? You don't want to deny both of these, right? You can't say, well, there is no unconditioned reality in all reality. You don't want to say that. On the other hand, at the same time, I'm going to hold that there is also an unconditioned reality in reality. So you can't have it both ways. You can't be saying on the one hand that you have an unconditioned reality and no unconditioned reality in all reality. If you say that, you've got a contradiction. Now, so one has to be true, but only one can be true. Now, let's just kind of, we've got this now on, on the screen there. Just take a look at it. Now, what we're going to do in this proof is we're going to show that the side that says there is no unconditioned reality in all reality, we're going to show that that side is completely contradictory. That absolutely nothing can exist under that hypothesis. There would be nothing in the world under that hypothesis. Now, if that were the case, then that would mean that that would have to be false. It cannot be true that there are no unconditioned realities in all reality, in which case you have to go to the other side of the disjunction. In other words, there has to be at least one unconditioned reality in all reality. And that's what we're going to do for the rest of this unit. We're going to be working on just that one hypothesis. Okay, so let's just start there for a second. And let's just say then we're now going to be working on there's only that we're going to assume now. It's just a hypothesis. We're going to assume that there are no unconditioned realities in all reality. And as we saw, that means that there can only be conditioned realities in all reality. So in the set of all reality, all we have are conditioned realities. Now, if you don't mind me doing this to you, what I'm going to try and do is split that into another disjunction. So if you look at your screen again, you'll notice we can split that hypothesis into two hypotheses, and I'm going to call it hypothesis F and hypothesis not F. Okay, what do I mean by hypothesis F? I'm going to say that for any conditioned reality X, I don't care, a cat, a cell, an atom, a molecule, take your pick, right? I'm just going to say for just a second here that for any conditioned reality X, remember they're conditioned, therefore they're dependent upon the fulfillment of conditions for their existence. That conditioned reality X, a cat, a cell, whatever it is, that conditioned reality X can either be dependent upon a finite number of conditions being fulfilled or an infinite number of conditions being fulfilled. Not neither, not both. So one of them, right, let's just say that one of those things is going to have to be true if our hypothesis that there are only conditioned realities in all reality is true. One of them would need to be true because that covers all the possibilities. Either a finite series or an infinite series of conditioned realities. Now, I'm going to split this up into two parts. I'm going to take hypothesis F first, and then I'm going to go to hypothesis not F. And don't worry, I'm going to do some repeating both in this unit and the next unit. You're going to get this. But for the time being, I'm going to take hypothesis F first, and I'm going to disprove it. And then I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to take hypothesis not F, and I'm going to disprove that. And that's all the possibilities that can pertain to the hypothesis that there is no unconditioned reality, that there's only conditioned realities in all reality, which means that I will have disproved the hypothesis that there is no unconditioned reality in all reality, which means there must be at least one unconditioned reality in all reality. That's what we're up to here. And first we're going to take that hypothesis F. We're going to show that if all there is are conditioned realities, and there's only a finite sequence of conditioned realities, we're going to show that that hypothesis must be false. Let's just go ahead and take a look at that for just a moment. Okay, let's suppose then there's only conditioned realities in all reality. Now we're going to say, according to hypothesis F, that there's only a finite number of them. What does it mean to say there's a finite number of them? There is a last or terminating condition. So, taking our cat, for example, again. You go from your cat to your cells to your molecules to your protons and electrons, your protons to your quarks and so forth, and you're going down the line, right? Eventually, you're somewhere under quarks. If there's only a finite number of conditions, and this is the case too if there's a circle, and we're going to talk about the circle in the next unit. But the case right now is if there's a finite number of units, just get this one concept, there's got to be a last or a terminating condition. Somewhere below quarks, there's going to be an ending condition. Now, if there weren't an ending condition, no ending condition whatsoever, that would be hypothesis not F. That would be an infinite number of conditions. And we're going to take that next. But right now, all I want to take is finite number of conditions. Remember, finite number of conditions means a last or terminating condition somewhere underneath quarks. And of course, you can have, if you want, you can say there is no last or terminating condition, but that would be an infinite number of conditions. That comes later. Assuming now that there's a last or terminating condition, what do we know that last or terminating condition to be? Remember, hypothesis, not you are. Hypothesis that there is no unconditioned reality. Hypothesis that there are only conditioned realities in all reality. The final or terminating condition, then, of that series, somewhere under quarks, would have to be a conditioned reality. That's the hypothesis, right? It's hypothesis F under hypothesis, not you are. You'd have to have, then, a final condition for the entire series that's grounding our cat, or whatever reality X is. We have to have a final condition, and that final condition would have to be a conditioned reality. Now, what is so weird about that? A final condition, which is a conditioned reality. Well, that would mean, since it's a conditioned reality, it needs its conditions fulfilled. But it's the last or the final condition. Mark my words, a circle won't get you out of this. We'll talk about it in the next unit. The key thing to remember right now is, hey, wait a minute. It's the last or the final one. There aren't any more conditions that can ground it. Yet this is a conditioned reality which is dependent upon the fulfillment of conditions in order to be fulfilled. What then must be the terminating condition under hypothesis F? The terminating or last or final condition under hypothesis F would have to be a conditioned reality whose conditions are not fulfilled. Are not fulfilled. What's a conditioned reality whose conditions are not fulfilled? Zero. A conditioned reality which is dependent upon the fulfillment of conditions for its existence. And its conditions are not fulfilled. What is it? It's non-being. It never got to be. It's just it's a hypothetical conditioned reality, but it doesn't exist because its conditions are not fulfilled. Now, the bizarre part about that is everything else which depends upon that little conditioned reality, including the quarks, which led to the atoms, which led to the molecules, which led to the cells, which led to the cat, all those things which were dependent on that final or terminating condition whose conditions are not fulfilled is zero, they're a zero too. Because if that thing, that final terminating condition is zero, then anything dependent upon it is zero. And if those things are zero, then anything dependent upon those things are zero until we get to our little kitty cat, which is also zero. It never came into being. Hypothesis F under hypothesis not you are. If you postulate simultaneously that there are only conditioned realities in existence, i.e. that there's no unconditioned reality whatsoever, if you posit that and you turn around and posit that there are only a finite or terminating or a number of conditions, which means there has to be a last condition, then you're always going to wind up with a last condition whose conditions are not fulfilled. That last condition whose conditions are not fulfilled is a zero, and that zero and everything dependent upon it is a zero. The cat is zero. Nothing can exist under those two hypotheses. And that's the point of real essence here. So hypothesis F means I can't exist. If I were dependent upon a finite number of conditions in a universe or in a world or in all reality that only had conditioned existence, I wouldn't be talking to you about this. I know. Because I can't do that. I know that those two hypotheses can't be true. But you have another option. You can say to yourself, but no, so really, it's not really a finite number of conditions. We're still postulating that there's not an unconditioned reality out here, right? We're still postulating that. And so, of course, now we know Okay, there's really an infinite number of conditions. There wasn't a terminating number of conditions. We don't